What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 1% Bttr podcast. In this episode, we're going to debunk the myth of overnight success. While it may seem like people achieve success overnight, the truth is it takes years of persistence, hard work, and discipline to reach those high points. Let's dive into what real growth looks like and how to stay committed when things get tough. Let's get into it. So today we're going to be exploring the myth of instant success and how social media often creates these unrealistic expectations. I'll share personal stories of my own setbacks that I've gone through and the long road to achieving my own goals. We're also going to take a look at some famous examples of individuals who took years, if not decades, to become overnight successes, quote unquote. And finally, I'm going to offer strategies and tips to help you stay committed and persistent through the grind, focusing on how to improve 1% each day. I used to believe that success could happen really quickly if you just found the right opportunity or worked hard enough for a short period of time, but reality hit hard. There were many moments when I felt stuck, times when I thought about giving up because progress was painfully slow. So for example, after starting my career in sales development, I struggled for years to get noticed. It wasn't until I consistently improved my skills that I've been working on for years at that point, day by day, the real opportunities started to open up. And it took much longer than I ever could have imagined. A great quote I read recently was, "Focus on the activities, not the outcomes." That's super powerful because it doesn't allow you to look at the end result. It allows you to stay on the journey and focus on the little things. And I mentioned this other quote in another podcast that I love from Pharrell. Focus on your work, squint at success, and every so often look over your shoulder to see how far you've come. Because here's the thing, we get caught up so much in waiting for the end result or something, the end to happen, when we should just be falling in love with what is going on right now. One of the most important lessons I learned is that you have to stay committed when no one's watching, putting in the work over time, even when the results aren't immediate. You need to stay patient in a world that is filled with just instant gratification now. This journey changed my perspective of what success really looked like. The goals don't make you unique at all. It's the action that does, because not many people want to get their hands dirty. And that's less and less the more we're going on. And I've also had points and also grew up with people that say that they were going to do this or that. And that's all it was. It was all talk. Just focus on the doing, whether you're right or wrong. You'll get there over time because you're getting reps. You're putting in the grind work when nobody's watching, as I mentioned. And you're also seeing what works and what doesn't work. It's trial and error. And eventually, you're going to get that repetition of all the right things coming over time. Let's take a famous example like J.K. Rowling. Rowling was rejected from numerous publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. It's easy to focus on their moments of triumph and looking at what she became after Harry Potter became huge, but her story was filled with years of hard work, rejection, and setbacks that aren't talked about ever. By the way, how good is Harry Potter? Can we take a brief second just to talk about how good Harry Potter is? Funny thing is, I never even watched Harry Potter until probably my early 30s. My wife has read all the books, loved it growing up. I just was never into it, and then I finally sat down and started watching those movies. They are incredible. And for the book readers, they're like, oh, he watched the movies, he didn't read the books. One or the other. I'd just be happy that I'm on board now, okay? Let's take a look at social media. Often makes people look like success has happened overnight. This is a big reason why depression and anxiety rates have just skyrocketed over the years, because we're seeing end results. We see the highlights, the best moments, and the end results without the struggles behind them. This creates really unrealistic expectations for the people looking at that, and we end up comparing our beginning to someone else's middle or end. Success is rarely linear. The journey can be extremely messy. For anybody watching this, I love that picture where it shows this really windy line going up and down, sideways, all these different directions. And then the next picture has it zoomed out and you can see how it's progressed over time. That's super powerful because there's highs, there's lows, there's midpoints. You just have to push past those low points to get to where you want to be at. As the great Mike Tyson once said, final. Just kidding. He did say that quote, but that's not the one I was going for. The one I was going for was everyone has a plan until they're punched in the mouth. I'll say it again. Everybody has a plan until they're punched in the mouth. And that's the adversity that they have or they are hit with. And early on, I faced rejection after rejection. I gave up on some things. It was all for the better. I found things that I was more passionate about. But at the same time, I do look back now that I'm not a spring chicken, as one would call it. And I can say that if I continued to push forward with that, I know that my peak of my mountain would have come eventually, or I would have been at a higher point. But early on, I did face that rejection from, even in my professional career, from companies that I wanted to work for. At one point, I even questioned whether I was on the right path. It felt like I was stuck in a place where others were moving forward extremely quickly, rising through the ranks, getting promoted. Each of those moments for myself was a stepping stone, teaching me resilience and sharpening my skills. And it's almost a prerequisite that you have to go through that in order to be successful. Looking back, I see those challenges were absolutely necessary to build that skin that I needed. They taught me the patience I needed, the discipline, and they helped me get that 1% better each day. And that's how the real growth happens. It's slow, it's steady, and throughout a lot of hard work, no one sees it. It's behind the closed doors. It's not on camera. And the big thing is that I want everybody to take away from this is that consistency beats talent. Persistence is more important than talent 100% of the time. It's not about being the most talented person in the room. It's about being the one who keeps showing up, even when things aren't going well for themselves. They continue to push forward. I've seen people give up right before they were about to break through because they were tired of waiting for success. I see this with my team are continuing to push, and then they end up breaking through the month after when they gave up a little bit earlier the month before. And all they had to do was just continue to push. There's a great picture. I don't know if you call it a meme or I'm not sure what you would call this picture, but it's two mine diggers that are looking for diamonds. And the guy on the top, you see him digging and he turns around and he's probably an inch away from breaking through to all the diamonds. And then you see the guy on the bottom that is still digging and pushing forward. And you can see that he's continuing the press even when the going gets tough and that he is going to get what he wants. That's the truth. The truth is success is often just right around the corner when you feel like quitting. I've never been the most talented person in the room. Literally. I think I've never been. But I'll outwork you 100% of the time. Any of you. And I'll bet my mortgage on that. This is the 1% better mindset. Look to have small wins each day and build that momentum. Instead of just looking at the big break, I try to find one thing that I can improve on each day, and that's what you need to do. If you have an end goal, let's just say it's doing what I'm doing right now, building this podcast and building this brand of 1% better. If I'm expecting this thing to be the biggest brand in the world by the end of this year, I am going to be miserable because that's not going to happen. This brand is all about getting 1% better every day. And over time, those small wins are going to add up. And before you know it, you've made significant progress. So I want you to think about that. The next thing that or goal that you set out, whether that is your diet, exercise, sleep, getting promoted at work, the list goes on. And I want to share some tips that you can implement today. The first is set realistic expectations. It's important to set realistic expectations for how long success will take. If you're going into a new endeavor expecting quick results, as I mentioned earlier, you're more likely going to get discouraged and quit. Think in terms of years instead of days and months. If you understand that it's going to take time and you pace yourself, you'll have the stamina to stick it out longer. I write affirmations to myself in the morning every day. And one thing that I say is I am proud of my progress no matter how small it is each day. And I remind myself that just by taking a little step forward. And embrace the grind, embrace the process, fall in love with the grind, the dirt that you're going through, the setbacks, as much as you fall in love with the wins, because they are even keel with one another. And that's where the magic happens. It's not glamorous and it's not always fun, but the grind is where you build the habits and the discipline that will sustain your success over time. I've been mentioning this to my team recently. You need to build that muscle memory to go through the grit, the grind, the dirt. You have to build that muscle memory so it feels natural to go through that. And the other thing is you don't have to just accept that and not celebrate small wins. It's easy to get caught up in waiting for the big moment, but it's the small wins along the way that keep you going. Celebrate those small wins. You deserve it. You worked your ass off for it, but don't let the losses discourage you, whether it's learning a new skill, hitting a new personal goal, or just making it through a tough week. Take time to celebrate these milestones because life is short. It almost got all ripped away from me in the blink of an eye, but I was fortunate enough to have a second opportunity, be able to give you guys this advice, and continue to push forward. Next, surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with people that understand the value of persistence and long-term effort. These are winners. That's what these types of people are. These are the people in your circle, these are the people in your circle that will lift you up or drag you down. So choose wisely. And I've had both in my circle through my life. If you are somebody that will drag other people down with small-minded thought, comparing yourself to other people, talking shit on other people, I have zero time for you. Go over there, go do something else because I don't want you in my circle. You become the most like the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. And then next, understand the importance of social media and the myth of success that it shows. In the age of social media, we're bombarded with stories of people going viral or quote unquote blowing up overnight. But behind every viral success story, there's usually years of unseen work, failures, and retries that these people are going through. I promise you, from a 1% better brand, that I will never fake where this brand is at. You're going to see the wins, you're going to see the losses, because that goes against everything that we're building if I were to do that to this audience. And finally, stop comparing your journey to others and focus on your own path. They're doing their thing. Let them do that. You focus on yours. You'll find that you're exactly where you need to be at and everything happens for a reason. The key is persistence, discipline, and patience. That's the Holy Trinity. Persistence, discipline, and patience. In my own life, I've seen the benefits of staying persistent. After many years of struggle, things started falling into place, not because of a big breakthrough that I had, but because of consistent efforts that I put in every single day. My success isn't happening overnight. It takes years of work behind the scenes, and that's what I'm doing. I'm recording right now, but you don't see what I do behind the scenes, just like I don't see what you do behind the scenes. You don't have to rush it. Focus on just getting a little bit better every single day, and you'll look back and you'll see how far you've come. For whatever you're trying to build, don't look in terms of days and weeks or even months. Look in terms of years, then look back. I challenge everyone to fall in love with the process of whatever you're doing. Success isn't a destination, it's a journey. And the more you focus on small, consistent improvements, the closer you'll get to those goals. So remember, don't rush it, embrace the grind, and trust that success will come in its own time. Thank you for listening to this episode of 1% Better. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to share with someone that could benefit from these insights. And as always, continue to improve 1% every single day. I'll see you in the next episode.